beats a rhythm, rocking to and fro. Her feet tap syncopation on the kitchen floor. The ironing board is squeaking on the one and the two. And you know that Grandma Waltons play the ironing board blues. Oh, the ironing
One of the most beloved TV shows in American history, one in which, in her role as Olivia, Michael Learned took home 4 Emmy Awards. When you watch a clip like that, how does it make you feel? We noticed it prompted a big smile.
Makes me feel great. And you know, he wrote that song.
Really?
John Walmsley wrote that song. He's written a few.
What do you think it was about the Waltons that endeared the show to so many millions of Americans and Canadians?
Did you ever watch it? Are you old
sure.
enough?
I watched it after the fact.
You have to be over
syndication.
40.
Yeah, that's right. When it was in syndication.
I think, personally, I think a couple of things. It's a history lesson of this country, which a lot of people don't realize or remember. They remember the warmth and the humor and the kids and the family, which is the biggest appeal of it. And what most people tell me is, it made me feel things when I watched that show. It made me laugh. It made me cry.
The whole family gathered together there.
Yeah,
it feels like almost sort of this
lost. It was comforting, yeah.
Isn't it?
It was very comforting.
Well, you're in town here as part of the popular production of Driving Miss Daisy at the Mayfield Theatre. It's been running for a couple of weeks now, runs through for several more, and you can still get tickets. We'll have details on how you can win in just a second. Are there parallels between the storylines or the feel of these two productions? Let's say the Waltons and Driving Miss Daisy?
Well, I think, yes. I think Driving Miss Daisy, too, because it deals with it's a love story, really, between two people, and it makes people laugh and cry, and it's also about the evolution of a woman who doesn't realize she has biases, and it takes you through the whole civil rights. 30-year relationship between a black man and a Southern Jew.
Well, it's just an incredible story. And of course, who will forget Jessica Tandy's great performance? Morgan
well, you
Freeman
have to
as well.
forget Jessica Tandy.
Do you? How do you? Well, this is. I wanted to lead into this. We haven't even acknowledged this beautiful pup who we insisted you bring in. By the way, that in just a second.
Daisy.
But how do you take such an iconic role yourself? I mean, 4 Emmy Awards. Of course, you have millions of fans, but at the same time, it's been an iconic movie role played by somebody else. How do you make something like this your own?
By not seeing the movie, for me.
Yeah.
I think some people do, but I'm always afraid I'll start copying, you know, or I won't be able to get the other performance out of my head. So I saw it when it first came out a long time ago and loved it, but I have not seen it in, since the 80s or whenever it first came out.
It's
so
always interesting to hear about the different process.
Actually, I try to model my Daisy after my grandmother,
Yeah.
who had a very similar relationship with her, quote, chauffeur, who was really, I think, her lover and her best friend.
Wow.
You know? And
Did
they
you
had
ever have a chance to talk to her about that?
Well, not to her, but to him. He was wonderful. He was like, when I ran away from home, he was the first person into the police station. When I had my first child, he was the one who drove me to the hospital. Ambrose was, his name was Ambrose Lewis, and he was the most stable part of our childhood. He was an amazing man. And he and my grandmother, she'd fire him and he'd quit, and she never quite paid him enough money, but she did look after. You know, they had this wonderfully tempestuous relationship, and he knew everything about my family, which he didn't tell me until after my grandmother died.
I love that story. I wanted to ask you about Joe Connelly. We just heard he passed away just a couple of days ago, July 7th, in fact. He played, of course, Ike Godsey, the classic role on the Waltons as well. What was it like to work with him?
He was a wonderful man, and unfortunately, I didn't have very many scenes with him because his storyline was...
Right, as the shopkeeper.
Yeah. But he was just a lovely, warm... What you saw on television was who he was, pretty much with everybody.
And it seems to be more of a rarity these days, doesn't it? I mean, I know you live in Los Angeles, or in that community anyway, and do you see less sincerity in television these days?
I think there's some wonderful acting on television these days, but the shows are so, not just violent, but they're so sick that I can't watch a lot of them, even though I recognize they're great shows.
Yeah.
But Breaking Bad, for instance, or Dexter, I mean, our heroes now are dope pushers and
serial killers.
And you're rooting for Dexter, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
I hope he gets away.
Well, finally, we insisted that you bring your pup on the show, on the set. Now, I have to ask, your pup's name is Daisy. Does it have anything to do with your role in Driving Miss Daisy?
Ironically, it does not.
It doesn't.
But when I was doing Driving Miss Daisy at a theater in Kansas, the artistic, I had just lost my other dog, and they said, you have to get a dog. And I said, I'm not ready for another dog. And they said, but we have this rescue, and her name is Daisy.
Well, she's endeared herself to everybody here, so thank
She's a
you
good
for bringing
girl.
her in. We want to let you know that Driving Miss Daisy is running at the Mayfield Dinner Theatre through till August 4th, and you still have a chance to get tickets. You've got to check it out. Come see a legend of stage and screen in action. Ticket details under the Inside BT link at breakfasttelevision.ca. But right now, thanks to Michael and the team at the Mayfield, we have a table for 4 for next Saturday night. You can win it if you're caller number 4 right now at 780-412-2790. You look like you got something to say.
I just wanted to say one thing. You know, if people would like to wait so I can get out of makeup, I'm really more than happy to come outside
You don't mind?
and say hello and sign autographs or whatever. I actually enjoy it.
You know,
It's
not a lot of
lovely.
people do that.
No, I'm very happy to do that.
Michael,
They do have to wait a few minutes.
What an
that's all.
absolute pleasure to see you.
Thank you so
for
much
being
for
here so
having
early
me.
in
I
the
love
morning,
being
too.
here.
I know you
Thank
got
you.
late nights with your production.
I'm awake now.
We're back right after this.
Sort of.
It's all the coffee. You're going to hit the wall like we do at 2 p.m. But she'll be back in action tonight. It's 7:18. BT back.
There's
right
a
after
matinee
this.
today, too.
What time?
Noon.
Noon, matinee today at the Mayfield.